Prepare yourself for Earthling Entertainment with your hosts, Joe and Ryan.
Hello, and welcome to another episode of Earthling Entertainment with your hosts, Joe and Ryan. Hey, I'm Joe.
What's up? I'm Ryan.
It's true, he is Ryan. Like, I've known him for a while, and it would be really, really interesting if he had a secret identity this whole time.
You could call me Sam.
Oh, no.
That is my middle name.
Well, there you go.
So there you go.
You learn something new every day. Anyways.
Yeah. How's the spooky season going for you, sir?
Oh, Halloween's great. Can't complain. You know, it's never felt the same as when it did when I was a kid. And I know that obviously is because when you grow up. But it's also because I watched, TV when I was a kid, like most kids do. And all TV programming back then, I don't know if it still is, there was commercials. So candy commercials, toy commercials, everything was Halloween oriented. I don't know if that was just, late 90s, early 2000s, or if that's just me. I don't know, streaming. Right. But it felt like everything was more Halloween. And also, I am in a neighborhood where there is not a lot of people who celebrate Halloween. They're from a different religious group, and they don't celebrate it. So I don't get trick-or-treaters, and it's, ugh. And then, that's fine. That's fine. But, what was great is L.A., everything was crazy. You definitely didn't get trick-or-treaters, but if you went to West Hollywood, they have I'm just saying the gay community really likes Halloween. It is a crazy parade and festival and all this other stuff. So it got kind of spoiled because for like 10 years in LA, there was always something to do, because if it's not that, there's someone has a trendy party or there's a haunted house or something great. And then Halloween here, like I said, no one celebrates.
Well, I had the pleasure of being in LA for Halloween in 2019 when I had the ultimate honor of being your best man.
Yeah, the bachelor party was on Halloween.
Yes, and everybody in LA is hot. Just like, you think, you know what I mean? Like that when you think about like, oh, it's like the girls wear the slutty whatever costumes, and like that, literally everybody there wears slutty whatever costumes, and they were all gorgeous. And it was just, I felt like so ugly.
Yeah. I used to say if I'm a Detroit 8, I'm an LA 4.
Oh, bro, hard.
But in any case, you don't have a great perspective, though, because we were hanging out on Hollywood Boulevard bar hopping. So that is where all the hot people were. So
it was a good ass time, I have to say. That was really cool. And like I said, that was 2019. So that's before shit hit the fan. So I really got to enjoy kind of LA Hollywood before all the madness.
Well, yeah, because it literally was,
right before
everything hit. Because I think March of 2020 was when the quarantine really started, right?
Yep. That was when shit hit the fan.
Woo! Yeah, we got married in November, me and my wife, and we just kept saying that. Okay, two things. One, we dodged a bullet with having the celebration because we didn't have to, obviously, do it over Zoom, and also it was nice because, well, our first marriage was during quarantine, so if we weren't gonna work.
That was the test.
That was the test.
Oh,
exactly.
My God. I never thought of it that way. Yeah, y'all were really put to the test, but I mean, good on you guys. Fucking, y'all are adorable.
Well, thank you. Yeah, but Halloween in Detroit's okay. You just have to get out of perhaps the Dearborn area. Like Eloise, the old insane asylum.
Yep.
They opened up a haunted house, and we went last year, I think. It may have been the year before. But in any case.
How was it?
The actual haunted house was great, but they were new to running it, and at the time, you can buy VIP tickets for like $20 more, and the line was much shorter because they didn't advertise and explain really how the VIP tickets worked.
That makes sense.
So these kids kept getting out and getting back in, so people would go through the line and through the haunted house literally like 8 times before we would be able to go once. We were out in the cold for like 3 hours. And it was actually kind of shady because my wife, she wrote a review on their website and I think on Facebook, and they kept deleting it. Yeah. But I mean, I'm sure it gets better. But if you do that, I don't know if they've changed it, but I would highly suggest to get the VIP tickets, because what we didn't know is we could have got them at any point while we were waiting in that line for 3 hours.
That's a good tip.
That's another thing. There was no one like walking through being like, "Hey guys, if you pay $20 more, you could upgrade your tickets," because it was expensive. Like,
I would have done that. Yeah, like give me the card reader, bro.
yeah, well, if you didn't upgrade, because we thought we would just have to rebuy them, it was like $60 or something crazy, but we already spent $40. So if we knew that we could just pay that extra $20, we would have totally done it.
Yeah, when it comes to haunted houses in Michigan are good, but yeah, you're right. Like it's like they're so like there's only a few like super popular ones. The other one that comes to mind is Erebus. And that's always a good one. And I remember doing a show when I was in my band out that way, and I remember seeing the line to Erebus was around the block.
Oh, yeah, no, that's a very famous one. I mean, haunted houses aside, I wonder if Halloween is dying down a bit, or if it has been over the years, or if it's just my experience. Because like I said, with a kid's perspective of having all the programming oriented towards Halloween and being the age where you actually trick-or-treated. Because it's like now, what I was getting at the very beginning of this conversation is just now I'm getting through October and I have to really force myself to get into the Halloween spirit. I got to like watch Halloween movies, like really,
Same.
like I got to like make it happen.
Yeah.
And so my Halloween has been good. I want it. I wish it was more spooky.
In my neighborhood, I've seen a lot more decorations. I'll say that. So
That's
at least
good.
So that they're giving out candy when it comes time. I think that like about, say, 10, 12 years ago was when we saw the real pit around here. Like no one trick-or-treated. I remember standing on my buddy's porch like I had nothing better to do. I'm like, hey, I'll just help you hand out candy. We didn't get one trick-or-treater because, I mean, it's always so cold here in Michigan, it seems, right around Halloween, and
but that's
it rains.
That's crap. It's always been cold. It's always
the
rained.
rain.
We always had to wear jackets over our costumes. You get over it, or you're that guy who's like, oh, it's super fat Spider-Man because you have a winter coat underneath.
But I mean, I got kids, and trying to get them to put on a jacket like over their costume, it's a whole thing. Like they don't want to do it. You know what I mean? I remember being pissed off.
I was that kid. Yeah, I was like, you're not even going to see my costume. Why would I wear a coat? That's stupid.
But like I said, it's not so much the cold as it is the rain. It always seems, I mean, knock on wood, I hope not this year, but it always seems around here to have like a freezing rain on Halloween day and night, and it just kind of puts a stick in the spokes of trick-or-treating. But like I said, I'm seeing a lot more decorations this year, I will say, on people's lawns and stuff. So
yeah, see, different neighborhoods. I don't see any. There's one person on the block. All right, well, hey, I wanted to say to anyone who's new to the show, Earthling Entertainment, what we do here is we kind of capture the spooky stuff. Sometimes we talk about aliens or haunting or cryptozoology, that fun stuff. And then the other half of the show is entertainment. So it's entertainment news, maybe a little movie quiz. And that's what we do. We're Earthling Entertainment, half and half. And so, yeah, man.
Stuff that we're into, we're going to talk about. That we love aliens, we love movies, we love shows, we love all that. We love music, we love all that stuff. So, and actually today, if I'm not jumping the gun a little bit, like even today we're going to cover something that a friend of ours commented and suggested we cover. So we're going to do it because we really want to encourage everybody. Yeah, if you're listening, if you like listening, if you want us to talk about something, shoot us a message on Facebook or comment on one of our things on Facebook, and we'll put it in consideration, and we got enough stuff. We'll include it in the episode.
That's true. Which brings us to the first segment, which we like to call Spooky Stuff.
Spooky Stuff.
Spooky Stuff.
The Yowie, a.k.a. the Australian Bigfoot. This was suggested by our buddy Jay. Yowie is one of the several names for an Australian folklore entity that is reputed to live in the outback. Good eye. The creature has its roots in a woo-wee, what a ripper.
All right.
Sorry.
To be clear, we grew up with Steve Irwin, and I'm sorry, but that is ingrained in our head, and we cannot help but hear his voice say the classic lines.
Yeah, so. We're not Crocodile Dundee Australian Americans. We are Steve Irwin Australian Americans.
Although, that ain't a knife. This is the knife.
I honestly don't think I've ever even seen that movie.
Okay, well, Ryan is not a Crocodile Dundee fan. I, on the other hand, am a Crocodile Dundee fan. Excuse me. Say that 10 times fast. Anyways,
Dude.
just start the Yowie thing over.
All right. One of the several names for the Australian folklore entity that is reputed to live in the outback. The creature has its roots in Aboriginal oral history. Yowies are thought by some to be the Australian Bigfoot, though descriptions of the creature vary. The creature is said to live in the outback and other rural parts of Australia. The most sightings have been recorded in eastern Australian states. In Aboriginal legends, Yowie-type creatures are discussed in great detail, with the creature described as a hairy, ape-like man, anywhere from 2.1 meters, or 6 feet 11 inches tall, to 3.6 meters, or 12 foot tall. The Yowie's feet are much larger than a human's, and its footprints are inconsistent in shape and toe number, making it difficult to track. The Yowie is said to have a large, flat nose, a huge mouth, and bat-like ears.
That's intense, but I do want to interject for 1 second. Is it like a missing toe? Because think about it. If it's a missing toe, you're an animal out in the wild. Maybe you lost a toe. I don't know. Just saying.
It's a possibility, or or these just like I said, or like I said before, are these just alien experiments, and they're like, we'll try one with 12 toes.
Aha! Anyways, back to the Yowie.
Descriptions of the Yowie range in both its visual appearance and its demeanor. Some describe the beast as timid or shy, and others say it's violent and aggressive.
So, both sides.
I was going to say toss the dice, I guess. Damn.
Yeah. I mean, that's kind of bullshit, right? Where it's like, it's either happy or sad. You mean it has a range of emotions like everything does?
That surely narrows it down. Okay. Some describe it as a harmless ape-like creature. Others say it looks more like a hairy wild man. In 1804, the book Modern Geography was published by John Pinkerton. In it, there is a comment regarding a population of Aborigines that shared Sydney Harbor with another tribe. They were described as flat-nosed with wide nostrils, thick eyebrows, and sunken eyes. Their mouths were of prodigious width, with thick lips and prominent jaws. The Aborigines regarded them as another people entirely, the Yahoos, or Yowies, meaning hairy people. That's
pretty definitive, right? Like,
yeah.
Let's give some respect to these people who lived back then. They said, no, these were different people. They weren't human. But then, we just, talk about it and say, hey, we don't think this is likely scientifically, so we're going to assume that they meant this instead of taking their word for it.
No, and I always say with these old stories, there's so much time in between now and then. It's like, who are we to really judge what they saw? Like, they could have died out by now.
Yeah, just saying.
The Kuku Yalanji tribe believes in the existence of this creature. They claim to have coexisted with the Yowie for centuries and have a long and detailed history of attacks from them in their legends.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
So, they were attacked.
Yep.
You're gonna go to the cave wall and be like, holy shit, this shit went down.
Well, it's just funny because once again, people are just like, you know what? That doesn't make sense. So I think they're just talking about a nice story they wrote down once. It's like, oh, okay.
Yeah, I just don't believe that. Yeah, I just don't believe that bullshitting, like that much, fictional storytelling did exist back then. They were more like trying to teach.
Okay, but it would be screwed up though if it was just their version of television shows, and we are completely wrong. And it's just like, hey everybody, tune in next week for the next cave drawing of the Yowie.
Right? Like that's yeah. Was it fictional? Like. That's actually right. We like entertainment.
That's the argument, right? That's what they say, and I think they were real, but I think everything was real. I believe in everything.
I'm trying to put myself in a tribal guy. Like I'm not gonna waste my time making shit up. I'm gonna be like, holy crap! Like I'm gonna write it down. Be like, dude, these big ass creatures came and attacked us. So watch out.
Yeah. Plus, painting's hard, man.
The Yowie is the equivalent to what Native American tribes in Northwest America call Sasquatch. It is described as a cryptic and said to resemble a huge, hair-covered, ape-like man with talons for fingers. Compared to the North American Sasquatch, it is believed to have more of a primate look to the face and head and walk upright. Its temperament has also been described as more aggressive and dangerous towards humans. Some believe the Yowie is an ancient species of hominid that has avoided extinction. These hominids have been depicted in local cave art as tall, hairy figures beside smaller Aboriginal people.
Well, I mean, that's what they say about Bigfoot, right? Like, no, the whole thing with Bigfoot is he like a missing link between man and ape? So, yeah, I mean, if the Yowie's out there, yeah, totally. It's just another form of humans. I mean, obviously, Lord of the Rings, J.R.R. Tolkien, all that stuff's fantasy book, but I'm just saying that shows 4 different humanoid species, dwarves, hobbits, humans, elves, and they're all basically human, but they all are different shapes and sizes and have different characteristics. Why is it so hard to believe way back when our species was evolving, that we wouldn't have branches off our tree that were similar to us, but different, kind of like Neanderthals and what is it?
Gigantopithecus.
Yeah, exactly. But so I know there is some research talking about how there's a few of them species did exist together at one time. So that's what we're talking about here. So absolutely, Bigfoot.
And I've heard, and I've heard that we have found proof of Hobbit people too. Like that's totally true. Like there was a kind of hominid who were smaller, and it's technically
like
human,
3-4 foot. Yeah, no, yeah. that is fact.
Sightings across the years, European contact with the Yowie is said to have begun with the arrival of the first fleet in Sydney Cove, 1788. During the early colonial era, Aborigines often warned British settlers to beware of an ape-like creature lurking in the rugged mountains and deep forests of the continent. One particular account, which reached London in a letter in 1820, told of an encounter in 1789 by convicts and a party of Marines while on a hunting trip. The men killed a bunch of wallabies and were returning to the settlement when, atop a nearby hill, they saw an animal observing them among the trees, which they later claimed was twice the height of an ordinary man.
Okay, and that's not that long ago. I'm sorry. This is an ancient legend. This is less than 300 years ago.
Yeah. The first southern sighting in Australia was reported on Phillip Island, Victoria, in 1849. During this encounter, several people observed a creature said to be between 6 and 7 feet tall, resembling a cross between a baboon and a man. At the time, the creature was said to be sitting on the edge of a lake when it was shot at. Like, oh, son of a bitch.
Yeah. Oh, no wonder they're so violent and mean.
You guys, go in here. Arguably, one of the stranger and more controversial sightings comes in the form of a photograph from 1936. It is one of a series of images taken by Rich Jones while working at an isolated loggers camp in Batlow, located in the snowy mountains of New South Wales, about 450 kilometers southwest of Sydney. The image appears to show a large creature sitting with his hands on his lap behind 2 men on a wooded log. Further analysis of the photo perpetually shows I don't know that word, shows the head area resting near its chest looking down. I'm looking at the photo right now.
Yeah, we're looking at the photo, and I'm sorry that you know what, we'll post it on our Facebook. But the point is, it's not a clear photo, so I can make out what they're describing, but you can't see any details, and I don't know if that's just the photo we have or if that's the actual resolution of this old photo.
Yeah, we'll post it, and you guys tell us what you think in the comments. Another well-known incident occurred in December of 1979 when a local couple, Leo and Patricia George, ventured into the forest and came across the carcass of a mutilated kangaroo.
Crikey.
They later He's just a boy. They later claimed that the perpetrator was only 40 feet away and described the creature as 10 feet tall, covered with hair, that stopped to stare back at them before disappearing back into the brush.
Okay.
So I mean, yeah, that's
I mean, it's creepy for sure.
you found the mutilated. So something made it.
Yeah, I
Something
mean,
messed him up.
maybe it was just an accident. Like they were hanging out, and then Carl just fell out of the tree, and he's like, "No!" And he's sitting there next to the body, and he's like, "Carl, no, he's dead. Oh my God, what am I gonna do?" And then humans come up, and he's like, "I ain't gonna get blamed for this." And he starts to run off, and he has a moment of hesitation where he's like, "But I can't leave Carl. His mom will wonder what happened." And he looks over, and then he sees the people, and he's like, "Oh, but I can't go to jail." And he just goes.
Yeah, yep. No, there. I hear Yowie jail is real tough.
Tale as old as time.
Modern Yowie sightings today. Sightings of the Yowie are said to take place in the south and central coastal regions of New South Wales and Queensland's Gold Coast. One expert on the topic, Rex Gilroy, claims to have investigated over 3,000 cases and believes the Yowie is related to the North American Bigfoot.
Yeah, big leap.
That's like a walk.
Oh,
to
you mean they
Asia.
look exactly the same? Oh, yeah.
By the way, we're gonna walk to Australia. Yeah, we'll figure.
You can't reference that movie every show.
I'm gonna.
All right, continue.
It's got something in its hands. Kilroy's research for various newspaper and magazines in the 1970s introduced the topic to the public. Despite the numerous sightings and eyewitness accounts, some researchers have concluded that evidence for the Yowie is so rare that the mythical being is probably some kind of hoax. In 2006, a book was published with everything there is to know about the subject, entitled The Yowie in Search of Australia's Bigfoot, by authors Tony Healy and Paul Cropper. Healy and Cropper admit there is little evidence to support the existence of such a creature. No bones have been found, tracks are rare, very little film or photos exist, just like the Sasquatch phenomenon in North America. And then we've got a cool little, we'll have to post this picture too. We've got like a little diagram of the Yowie, which is pretty cool. We'll post that later.
Kind of looks like a saber-toothed monkey.
He does. He remind me a bit, yeah, like a saber-toothed like baboon. It's crazy. Yowie sightings continue. Here are 3 recent examples. 7-foot Yowie was allegedly spotted in 2016 by a bushwalker in the Darling Downs mountain ranges near Toowoomba. That Yowie seemed disinterested in the woman and is said to have sat down in the long grass and ignored her, which would give validity to that first photo, that he was just kind of sitting there.
Yeah, fair enough.
I just kind of want to sit here, mate. I'm not going to chase you.
Let bygones be bygones.
You sit there.
It's a
mate.
big outback.
You sit there. I'll sit here, mate. We'll be
It's all fine.
Then the Ipswich Yowie. I'm sorry, I love the name Ipswich. Yowie may have made an appearance in a 2017 YouTube video filmed by a man who had only intended to capture footage of a large flock of cockatoos.
Well, I mean, obviously they couldn't confirm the video because that's why they're like, it allegedly shows. But I mean, that's pretty cool. I'd have to see that video. I'm going to try to Google it.
I was going to say that might be an interesting one to look up later. If we find it, we'll post that too.
Absolutely.
But yeah,
I'm going to have to start writing these down. We got a lot we're going to post.
So, right?
Yeah, if you guys are on the Facebook page, tell us, because I don't want to do all this extra work if you don't care.
Poor Joe has to do pretty much all the work here. I just show up and read.
That's not true. You are an integral part, Ryan.
All right. Finally, just a couple of weeks ago, a Yowie sighting was made 15 to 20 kilometers north of Roma, in which an approximately 5-foot-tall auburn-haired creature, I don't describe many things as auburn, that's fancy, was seen standing beside a dead kangaroo on the Carnarvon Highway. So they like to kill kangaroos.
I mean, it makes sense. It's a source of food. It's a big kangaroo. Maybe kangaroos are dicks. Maybe they just go around like messing with the Yowies, and They have this blood war. It's like the show, the movie franchise Underworld, but instead of vampires and werewolves, we got kangaroos and yowies. I would watch that.
I've got a legitimate question.
Starring
Do they
Kate
eat?
Beckinsale.
Do they eat kangaroo? Is kangaroo a thing? Like, do people like?
Yeah, I know people eat kangaroo because I've seen kangaroo jerky.
No shit.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry.
I mean, it's a marsupial, so
I'm such an American that they're like such like a crazy alien species to me that like I don't know that much about them and where they fit in.
No, there totally is, because I think it was called Umani Burger or something. I was living in Hollywood and it was right by my school. And anyways, you go there and they had kangaroo burgers.
Huh.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I learned something new about that today. I might have to try me some marsupial. Some of the many versions of Bigfoot Yowies' tales of large, hairy hominids are universal, timeless, and found in the myths and folklores of cultures across the world. Called the Yeti in the Himalayas, or the Chichi in China, the Almas in Mongolia, and the Capri in the Philippines, forest men in Vietnam. The list of countries with stories of hairy man-apes inhabiting remote parts of the globe is endless. Australia is just one of the lesser-known areas where reported encounters with the legendary Bigfoot-like creatures have taken place.
Okay. Well, it says right here that the forest man is Vietnam. That doesn't sound Vietnamese. Who named that one?
I was gonna say, that seems
like
a little lazy.
It feels like the Vietnamese had probably their own name for it, and then like an American soldier was like, forest man. That's what
it's like. Yeah, we're not gonna try to pronounce that.
Yeah.
We're not gonna do
that. It's a forest man. I'm just saying that's a little suspect. Just that particular name.
And I think it's cool, and it doesn't cover it in the article, but I know that here in America we've got multiple different kinds of Sasquatch type things, like the skunk ape in Florida, which really stinks, but it's said to be,
I feel like that just might be a Bigfoot that really stinks because it lives in a swamp.
That could be true.
I mean, I don't know. But I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, not at all. That was pretty much all I had to say. I was just saying that they're and that's what I always say about these kind of old stories. It's like they can't all be totally bullshit. I just can't believe that it's all just BS, because it's like maybe they've just died out by now.
Well, clearly there's still modern day sightings, so endangered for sure, but maybe not died out. But it's everywhere in the world. There's all these different places where we're reporting the same kind of thing. It's not like, okay, so you have Nessie in Loch Ness, and then, Lake Champlain, you got Chappie. Yeah. And they're basically the same thing. But that's two examples of something. Bigfoot, Yowie, all of those, they're everywhere. So why are people like why? And we discover new stuff all the time. We have a new spider named after Tom Hardy. We have a new snake named after what's his name? Harrison Ford. So I'm just saying, listen, this isn't like being super into the paranormal to say that the Yowie and Bigfoot could totally exist.
I'm a believer that they definitely existed. I don't know if they're still around today, personally. But I won't close the door on that.
Well, what about modern day accounts?
Modern day accounts, I hate to say it, I don't want to be too skeptical, but at the same time, we all know all the stories. It can be easy to kind of freak yourself out about it, I assume.
Do you think people are just bullshitting?
I don't think bullshitting. I believe that they believe it. You know what I mean? I just think that...
Okay, but some of these modern day accounts are straight up like, no, I see him in front of me less than 3 feet, and he winked at me and said, hey, would you come hang out? And, I don't know, something what Bigfoot would do. I imagine a sport involving pine cones. But the point is, some of these accounts, you can't say that it was just part of their imagination because they are very up in front and in your face.
I'll admit I am more skeptical of recent sightings than of old ones. I'll put it that way.
To me, that's strange. Because I get what you're saying, but at the same time, it's... because we account, like we talked about earlier, for every old story, we just, say, oh, it's legend. Oh, because of that, to me, modern sightings are more proof, because that's like, oh, no, that wasn't, some crazy old-timey Greek name who saw Bigfoot. That was Carl. Okay, Carl might not be a good example because Carl seems kind of hillbilly. This is Jenkins. He's a butler. He saw that shit.
He's a sophisticated man and would never lie.
I know! He was working for this family for years. His father was the butler here. Now we have to trust Jenkins.
I trust Jenkins with my life.
I mean, granted, he is a Paul, but, he's all right.
Yeah, we had questionable, moments here and there when he was helping me get dressed, but we look past that. He's a good guy. We don't judge him.
Oh, Jenkins, always pulling out your wiener.
All right. Well, I guess I think that's all we got on the Yowie, and thank you to Jay for the suggestion. I think it's
That's
time.
Jason Alonzi. He was one of the founding members of the horrorcore band Mental Ward.
He's my boy.
You're my boy, Blue. All right, continue.
All right. I think it's time to move to our next segment, which is Tales from Halloween History.
Tales of Halloween History.
Number 1, Halloween Costumes and Colors. The Festival of Samhain marked the transition to the new year at the end of the harvest and beginning of the winter. Celtic people believed that during the festival, spirits walked the earth. In order to avoid being terrorized by all the evil spirits walking the earth during Samhain, the Celts donned disguises so that they would not be mistaken for spirits themselves and be left alone.
So yeah, that was the one of the origins for why we may dress up on Halloween. Pretty cool.
I knew that one where it was like, yeah, it's to fool the spirits.
Yeah. And then there's some other beliefs where it's to walk among the spirits. But yeah, that's a good one.
The traditional Halloween colors of black and orange also traces back to the Celtic festival of Samhain. For the Celts, black represented the death of summer, while the orange symbolized the autumn harvest season.
Which makes sense because it was a harvest festival. And, I like that. Pumpkins.
I was going to
orange,
say,
black.
I always just assumed it was because of pumpkins, but that's cool. I didn't know that. And
technically you're not wrong because it is the harvest.
Right. I guess they're all eating a bunch of gourds back then.
All right. So yeah, Halloween costumes and Halloween colors.
All right. Well done. Number 2. The exchange student who knocked on the wrong door. 25 years ago, the 16-year-old... I don't know why I'm reminded of... I'm so sorry for people who don't know the reference, but Aqua Teen Hunger Force thousands of years ago. Anyways, 25 years ago, 16-year-old Japanese exchange student Yoshihiro Hattori.
That was pretty good.
Thank you.
Considering you had no idea. That was nice.
Yoshihiro Hattori dressed up as John Travolta's character from Saturday Night Fever, then headed out to a Halloween party in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. Tragically, he was mistakenly dropped off at the wrong house, and the homeowner, panicked by this unexpected visitor, shot and killed Hattori. The homeowner was later acquitted of any wrongdoing.
Yeah, that always makes you feel like shit, doesn't it?
I'm going to go ahead and say that this guy might be a little racist.
Well, it's kind of hard not to feel that way, right? Because the victim is always of a different color, and the perpetrator is always white. And it's like, oh,
I'm sure.
I don't want to say it's racist, but this seems kind of racist.
Well, I mean, yeah, it's a Japanese exchange student. They say English is insanely hard. I'm guessing there was like a huge, language barrier there. But Jesus, man, you shot the boy. He's 16.
Yeah, plus he's dressed like John Travolta from Saturday Night Fever. Are you afraid there's a disco killer out? It's 25 years ago. It's like the late 90s. Come on, man.
And he was acquitted, dude. Like, that's so effed up.
Tales of Halloween history gets dark sometimes.
Hattori's mother, Miko, commented on the 20th anniversary of her son's death. I've been observing American society for the past 20 years. The ongoing situation there has been incomprehensible to the Japanese people.
That's fair. I don't want to get into that, but that is fair.
Man, it's messed up. And like I said, so this happened 25 years ago. So obviously, the further back you go, the worse people get, and it's true.
It's a pendulum, man. Okay, the thing is, it always goes from super, super liberal and then super, super conservative and then super, super liberal and then super, super conservative. Sometimes it takes 10 years. Sometimes it takes 50 years. And it goes the same. You know, sometimes there's much larger swings, and we're talking about whole governments that are that way. But the bottom line is, yeah, I don't know.
You apparently got to know where you're going in Baton Rouge. Like, people there aren't just going to let John Travolta slide, apparently.
If I was John Travolta, I would be very concerned when I go to Louisiana.
I wish I could do a John Travolta impersonation, because I would.
I can only do South Park's impersonation. Like, they're, oh my God.
That was actually pretty good.
I'm John Travolta. Oh my God.
That was actually pretty good.
All right, fair enough.
All right, let's move on to the next one. Number 3, candy apples.
See, we go light, then dark, and then light, and then spoiler for the next one.
And candy. For centuries, people have been coating fruit in syrup as a means of preservation. But during the Roman festival of Pomona, the goddess was often represented by and associated with apples. Her name derives from the Latin word for apple, pomum, and the fruit is at the heart of the harvest celebrations. It is believed that candy apples were invented accidentally in 1908 by William W. Cobb, a candy maker in Newark, New Jersey. As the story goes, Cobb was experimenting with red cinnamon candy to sell at Christmas time, and he dipped apples on sticks into the red glaze and put them in his shop window to showcase his new candy. But instead of selling the candies, he ended up selling the apples to customers who thought that they looked good enough to eat. They became fashionable treats for Halloween starting in the early 1900s, and they remained popular up until the 1970s.
So yeah, candy apples, man. That's why it's associated with Halloween. You know, I always caramel covered apples with the nuts on it. That's always the ones we had. We didn't really have the hard candy coating.
I always was, I'm gonna be honest, like, I always thought they tasted nice, but I think, like, they were too messy to enjoy. Like, you're, like, biting into, so you're trying to bite in an apple, and then you've got this string of caramel, and it's like, like,
well, you gotta know you're gonna get messy. It's like eating fried chicken with, like, you know, some sauce covering it.
And it's kind of cool that we talked about candy apples, because that has a little bit to do with one of our Halloween movie game today. That was a big part of one of the movies.
That's true. Actually, it's not true. I have no idea what you're talking about.
Oh, I just watched it last night. So anyways, we'll get to that in a minute. We still got one more story. But with candy apples, that's how I always felt about them. But at the same time, yeah, I mean, it is an iconic treat. And I feel like that's something that, I don't remember the last time I had one. I might get one this year.
I got one last year. It was not like the best one. It was one of those supermarket ones that come in the plastic where you get like 2 or 4 in them.
Oh, yeah.
And it was good. I mean, I liked it, but it's not like it was a fresh one from a candy store or something cool like that.
I was going to say, I forget what the place is called, but yeah, they do like all like the chocolate covered strawberries and stuff. I'll bet they make a badass candy apple.
You're probably right.
I forget what they're called.
Well, the apple orchards are big in Michigan, and I know they have great candy apples because this is the time to go to the apple orchard. You get your cider, you get your donuts, get some caramel apples. We should go to the apple orchard.
I'm actually really down for that before the season's over, if we could pull that off.
Yeah, last week the families went to the zoo. Next week, maybe apple orchard. No, wait, next week we have Camp Dearborn. No, not Camp Dearborn. Now, what is it called? Greenfield Village.
Ah,
right. Yeah.
Yes.
Anyways, it's the festive time of year. Anyways, yeah. So caramel apples. Let's go to number 4 now.
Number 4, the man who opened his door for the wrong trick-or-treater. In 1982, 69-year-old Marvin Brandland.
Not Marlon. Was it Marlon Brando?
Not the same. Look what they've done to my boy. I can't do it. Sorry. Was getting ready for bed after a night of handing out Halloween candy when there was one more knock at his door. Brandland opened the door to find someone wearing a pillowcase over their head with the holes cut out for the eyes.
You know, just like Jason Voorhees.
I was about to say.
Friday the 13th, part 2.
Part 2. But he only had one hole.
Yeah.
Had one.
And also in the beginning part of the Platinum Dooms remake.
Yes. The figure said, "Trick or treat. Give me your money or I'll shoot." He then pulled out a gun and ordered Brandlin into his basement where Brandlin kept a safe. Brandlin, figuring this was a prank since only family members knew about the safe, grabbed for the gun. The person in the pillowcase fired, hitting Brandlin in the throat, killing him.
Yeah, that'll do it.
Yeah, that'll do it.
Yeah. Try not to get shot in the throat.
Avoid it. The killer fled, leaving the pillowcase at the scene. In 2010, the pillowcase was tested for DNA, but there wasn't enough DNA on it to make a match.
Well, that's because you waited too long. It happened, what?
Yeah.
1982?
What the
Like,
F?
you could have got a hair or something, but, like, you know, who knows if it's... I don't know. That sucks. I don't know how prevalent DNA was. Well, I mean, I know we all have it, but I meant, like, the DNA evidence aspect of law enforcement. I don't know how big that was in the 80s.
I mean, I'm gonna have to say that, yeah, they really dropped the ball on that one. I'm no police officer, but they done goofed. That like there should have been a little bit something going. Like that sounds like something right out of like the movie Strangers or whatever. Like that's a real Halloween
Situation.
moment.
Yeah. And you should listen to me and Ryan, because clearly we are qualified criminologists.
Yes. We know exactly what we're talking about at all times about everything. So just
just ask my wife.
Yes.
Anyways, all right, guys. So that's it for Tales of Halloween History.
That was a lot of fun. Actually, I really enjoyed that one, Joe. Great job, dude. I love learned a lot today. Learned a lot about Halloween. I hope you guys did too. Like I said, we got one more Halloween episode, so if you want something you want us to talk about, shoot us a message.
Well, next week is going to be very Halloween oriented, even more so than this one.
And we would love to put in something. If we have a listener who wants us to talk about something, we'd be happy to.
Yeah, but do it in a timely fashion, because I gotta be honest. You do it the day of, it ain't happening. Anyways, so what's coming up right now is our Halloween trivia game. So, like we said last week, we are doing a trivia game on Hocus Pocus. And just so you guys know, so you can study for next week if you want, we are doing the trivia game, the final Halloween trivia game, on the film Trick or Treat.
Yeah.
Now, that is not the one from the 80s starring Ozzy. That is the new one.
With
All
the
right.
R. With the R and apostrophe.
Yeah, the Trick or Treat.
R.
R. And today, we are doing Hocus Pocus.
The Halloween movie trivia game.
1 and 2, right?
Nope, just one, because
I watched 2 last night.
Well, I gotta be honest, I didn't have time to watch 2, so we only did 1.
That's fine, but let me say I also watched 1 last night as well. I started off with 2, and I have to say, it was so much better than I remember. I know it's not that old, but like I remember the first time I watched it, I was kind of like, meh.
Well, it was built up, right? Because we wanted a sequel for years, so it was never going to be as good as we all thought it was. I will agree, it wasn't bad, though.
I watched it again last night, and I honestly really, really liked it. I forgot, I liked it way much more the second time around, I'll say that. So if anybody's like, I gave it a watch and it wasn't that great, watch it again. Honestly, I think it'll surprise you. It was pretty good. And
if you watch it again without the expectations.
Exactly. And I guess since we're not going to quiz on it, I'll just go ahead and say, that's what I meant earlier about the candy apple is like one of the main characters who was like the guy that the witches were coming after. He just wanted a candy apple like the whole movie and he could just never get one. And it was kind of a run-on joke.
Huh, interesting. I don't remember. I got to rewatch that movie. I will say about the sequel though, there's the few things that I was wondering. The guy who made the candle, because remember in the first one we talk about the black flamed candle, and it's made from like the fat of a hung man and like all these other things. And I'm just saying, that guy's a murderer. The only way he could make that candle for the sequel is if he killed people.
And it was ugly as shit too. So
I'm just saying,
no,
man.
I believe he did it. I believe he's messed up. No, that's
all right. Anyways, so guys, here we are with the Hocus Pocus quiz show. Ryan, are you ready for 10 questions? Pretty average. Ryan, are you ready?
I'm ready, my pretty.
All right. Ryan, what year was Hocus Pocus released in theaters? A, 1990. B, 1993. C, 1995, or D, 1989?
That was definitely B, 93.
That is correct.
Yes. I only know that because they referenced it constantly in the sequel. They're like, oh, this back in the we saw them in 93.
Yeah, fair enough. All right, Ryan, number 2. What was Binks, the cat's first name? Was it A, Ronan, B, John, C, Victor, or D, Zachary?
D, Zachary Binks.
That is correct.
Dude, I love this movie. Like, I watched it last night, and it's hilarious how much I
How much you remember from it?
I remembered everything. I could almost quote it.
Well, I sometimes wonder if it was a Halloween classic because it was just that time in our lives where we were younger, or if it actually like holds up. And the fact that it has a sequel, I think, like so many years later, I think says that it did hold up, like as a Halloween tradition. Like people still watch it with their kids now.
I argue it's the best witch film.
Ooh, I don't know, man. The Witches from the 80s, not the remake with Anne Hathaway, but the one with Chris Rock and Anne Hathaway. It was okay. But the original one in the 80s, that
where
was
turned
really
them into mice.
Yeah, where he turned them into mice.
Yeah.
You know, it's based on a, I always mess up his name, the Roald Dahl, I believe his name is, the author. It's a guy who did Charlie and the Chocolate Factory.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he's a children's author. He did James and the Giant Peach.
No, and that one is a good one too, but I guess like this one's just more my witch movie, I guess. Just
All
for
right,
me,
fair
yeah.
enough. Well, we'll jump in. Ryan, number 3. What was the name of the high school where the kids burnt the Sanderson sisters? A, Jacob Bailey High School. B, Sleepy Hollow High School. C, Salem South High School. Or D, Nathaniel Hawthorne High School.
I want to say actually it was D.
Ugh. It was not Nathaniel Hawthorne High School. It was, in fact, Jacob Bailey High School.
I knew it was a name. I knew it wasn't Salem.
Well, I mean, they're all names.
Well, but I know that this takes place in Salem. But I knew that the high school wasn't named that. Okay, I'll take the hit.
All right. Well, it doesn't matter because you're going to anyways. You don't get to choose whether or not you're correct, Ryan.
Like a stoner in the circle, I'll take my hit, man.
All right. Number 4, Ryan. Which ingredient is not part of the Sanderson sisters' youth potion? A, Dashapox. B, Dead Man's Toe. C, Frog Legs. D, Piece of Your Own Tongue.
I'm gonna say Frog Legs wasn't in it.
That is correct.
Yes.
Yes, you did it.
I was between that one and the first one.
Well, the thing is, Frog Legs, it's Dashapox, Dead Man's Toe, Piece of Your Own Tongue. It shouldn't be Frog Legs. It should be Leg of a Frog.
Right.
Yeah.
But like I said, the Dashapox, I missed that. So I was literally tossing between those two. I just was like, I would have remembered Frog.
All right, that's good. All right, well, you know what? I think we're just going to jump into number 5. What does Max promise Danny he'll dress up as next year if she agrees to visit the Sanderson sisters' house on Halloween? A, a witch. B, Hawk Hogan. C, Peter Pan. Or D, a fairy prince.
It is Peter Pan, and he needs to wear the tights.
And he needs to wear the tights.
Yep. Thank you.
See, people, it's the important details that show whether or not you're an actual fan of a particular film.
You know, if you're an Earthling Entertainment kind of guy or girl.
Oh. Anyways, number 6. Ryan, why can't the Sanderson sisters go into the cemetery? Is it A, their past victims will attack them? B, it's holy ground. C, it's hallowed ground. Or D, Binks put a protection spell on the area.
I like the spinoff. You almost got me, but C, hallowed ground.
That is correct. It is hallowed ground.
Yes.
All right.
The term for the graveyard, hallowed ground.
For sure.
Dude,
Because the
yeah.
ground is hollow, I imagine.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Many bodies.
Well, you're doing pretty good, man. So
Thank you.
after 6 questions, you only got 1 wrong. So that's,
This is
you're
it's a
doing
great
way
movie.
better than the sequel game, I must say.
Well, you're giving me multiple choice. I'm a little bit easier. I'm a little better at this.
Well, I don't know how to give you multiple choice for the sequel game, so we'll figure that out. Maybe we'll keep adjusting.
Either way, I kind of like the sequel game is really challenging, and I enjoy that, honestly, even when I do suck.
Fair enough. All right, so number 7. Why was Billy Bitcherson cursed? Bitcherson. Why? Yeah, Bitcherson. Why was Billy Butcherson cursed by Winifred in the 1600s? Is it A, he used to pick on her? B, he accused her of being a witch? C, he wouldn't date her? Or D, he cheated on her?
I'm going to say that the official answer is D, he cheated on her. However, it's also kind of C, because he really wouldn't date her. He gave her 1 kiss, and then he had sex with Sarah.
Yeah, that sounds like a play if I ever heard one. That son of a bitch.
But the official answer is D.
And that is the official correct answer. So way to go, my friend.
Yeah, and that was really covered in the second one.
Yeah, they talked a lot about it. All
Give
right.
her 1 kiss.
Oh, good old Doug Jones, man. I love that guy.
Could you imagine kissing those buck teeth?
Yes, only because in my past I dated a girl with pretty big two front teeth. Yeah.
Oh, well, I never had that experience. Well, good for you. All right.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah.
You know what I can't imagine? Kissing someone with braces. One, I'm married now, so I never will. And well, plus who has adult braces? But I never experienced that in my youth. Have you?
I want to say yeah, but we're talking youth here, and I'm old.
You didn't log the
I don't
you didn't
remember.
log the experience?
I don't remember.
Yeah, fair enough. All right. So Ryan, number 8. Which city did Max's family move to Salem from? A, Los Angeles. B, Hollywood. C, New York. Or D, Burbank.
The answer is A, Los Angeles, but the bullies called him Hollywood.
Hollywood. My name is Ice.
And then he points.
Well
Ice.
done. All right.
Yeah,
High five.
right on time, dude.
Okay. I got to quiz you on a film that you haven't just recently watched.
Well, I mean, you give me the time to watch it, I'm going to watch it. I don't want to come.
Should I give you a list of like 4 films and then only quiz you on one?
Ooh, I like that.
Yeah. Maybe
That would make this harder.
All right. We're going to do that.
We'll do that next time on this.
All right. Number 8. What did Max, Danny, and Allison use to fake sunrise and scare the witches into hiding? Was it A, oil lanterns, B, car headlights, C, a stage spotlight, or D, several bonfires meticulously placed in various areas using mirrors like the Egyptians?
I'm going to have to say it was the car headlights.
That is correct. It
All
is
right,
the car
all right,
headlights.
all
All right.
I was honestly between that and because I wasn't sure if they had lights. I thought they might have had stage lights, but it's like, no, they just used the car.
Fair enough. Well, we have one final question. Which Sanderson's sister rode a vacuum cleaner as a broom? Was it A, Winnie, B, Sarah, C, Allison, or D, Mary?
That would be my favorite Sanderson sister, which is Mary.
It is Mary.
She's definitely my favorite. Out of all of them, she's the funniest one. I remember when I was a kid when she watched that commercial with the baby and she was like, wow! I thought that was like the funniest thing ever. But then again, I was 6.
That makes sense. Well, hold on, Ryan. Final score, 9 out of 10. Well done. And so that's our Halloween game for this week. Remember, next week we're doing Trick or Treat. All right, 10 quiz questions for Trick or Treat. Maybe that one will be a little bit tougher for you because even if you watch it, there are it's kind of an anthology film. There's like 3 different stories with kind of a framing device. So maybe that'll trip you up a bit. I'm gonna try to go kind of deep cuts on that one. Who knows how that'll go? But next week, Trick or Treat.
I'll do my best to study up on that and like We were also tossing up like maybe to do Tales of Halloween. That's it if you like that kind of.
Yes, but we're not. We were
right.
doing Trick or Treat. There's
Right,
no
right.
need to bring that up. I don't want to confuse them on what they need to study for.
I just wanted to just suggesting that if you haven't seen that, that's another good Halloween film. If you haven't added that to your collection, that's a good one.
Fair enough. That is a good one. I do like it a lot.
I believe it's streaming on Prime Video right now.
Prime Video. All right, guys. So our final segment for the show is we're going to be doing headlines now.
Earthling Entertainment headlines.
Pop star Demi Lovato films UFO, claims to have contact with aliens. This comes to us from Coast to Coast AM. In a surprising social media post past weekend, pop star Demi Lovato shared a video of an anomalous object which she believes to be a UFO and claimed that she can contact aliens. According to the musician, the remarkable footage was captured during a recent expedition to Joshua Tree alongside a small group of loved ones, as well as longtime Coast to Coast AM guest and disclosure advocate, Dr. Stephen Greer. I like him. Lovato's video, which can be seen below, we'll try to post that later.
Yeah, obviously it cannot be seen below.
Right. Shows a
Normally I cut that out.
Gotcha. Shows no big deal. Shows a curious looking glowing light that can be seen silently moving across the sky as Greer marvels, this is the real thing in 3D. As part of a lengthy caption accompanying the footage, the pop star reveals that over the past couple of months, I have dug deep into the science of consciousness and experienced not only peace and serenity like I've never known, but I also have witnessed the most incredibly profound sightings both in the sky as well as feet away from me. Lovato goes on to caution that this planet is on a very negative path towards destruction, but we can change that together. Offering a solution to this issue, she argues that if we were to get 1% of the population to meditate and make contact, we would force our governments to acknowledge the truth about extraterrestrial life among us and change our destructive habits destroying our planet. With regards to her video, Lovato contends that this is just some of the evidence that under the stars in the desert sky that can be no longer ignored and must be shared immediately. Lovato wraps up her interstellar call to arms by telling her followers to download Greer's CE5 app, which he claims allows for peaceful contact with aliens, promising them that it will teach you the protocols to connect to life forms beyond our planet. Conceding that they may not find success on the first try, she urges them to keep trying because it took me several sessions to tap into a deep enough level of meditation to make contact. I have heard about this.
Okay, so it's a handful because Demi Lovato is a handful. All right, she was a childhood star. She was in Barney way back in the day, like straight up Barney. Yeah. Also, this is on record. I'm not talking shit about the girl. She had a lot of substance issues, and her brain is actually been altered. I don't want to say brain damage, but she's literally, like, on record. You can Google this. She's kind of fucking fucked herself up a bit. And
that's a shame.
Yeah, but I really like the fact that she's super into aliens. But it's just like, the problem is because of her past, it's everything she says is a caveat of, or maybe she's just crazy. Like, that's what I'm saying. I like the guy from Blink-182. What is it? Tom DeLonge?
Yeah.
Because he has no reason for you not to believe him when he's like, no, aliens are out there. You know, he's a weird musician, but, you know, her thing was like, hey, I had a bit of a partier past. And they're like, yeah, I bet you see aliens.
And Stephen Greer is a different one.
You're right, though, but he puts credibility to it, right? Because he's legit.
Well, and he's different. He not? He's different because, like, that's been his thing. I always thought that I get him mixed up with other ufologists, but he really promotes this meditation process to contact aliens. And I've seen videos of him with big groups where they all basically sit and meditate. And he's apparently, according to many people that have gone, been quite successful. And like they said, it doesn't happen every time, but they're saying that there's a way to meditate and to project your consciousness out, and that these extraterrestrials
Contact aliens,
and they can actually contact you back. And as long as you do it in a peaceful manner, they will materialize. They'll show themselves.
I mean, hey, look, in believing that anything is possible, and honestly, I do believe our brains are capable of crazy stuff. Maybe, totally maybe. I just, I haven't particularly heard of this guy, but it's the Demi Lovato thing that's tough for me. But honestly, it would be great. It'd be great if we got 1% of the world to meditate, even if it doesn't cause any governments to say, yeah, aliens are real. You know what it will do? It'll calm people down. There's nothing wrong with meditating.
Nothing wrong with sitting and taking a look at your life and
take some deep breaths and relax. Come on, there's nothing wrong with that at all.
This podcast does that for me a little bit. I swear it does.
Fair enough.
It gives me a little. This is my meditation.
It's a little cathartic to talk about things.
It is, and but like I said, I've heard about the Stephen Greer guy. He's a whole rabbit hole to go down. It's an interesting development in ufology with this guy.
You don't want to go down on Stephen Greer?
Oh, I'll go down on Stephen Greer. We could. I'm down to jump on down into his pants.
Just stop. You could not make that joke work.
I was trying.
I give you so much credit for trying to run with that, but
I did my best.
I trapped you in a corner.
Yes, you trapped me between a rock and a hard place.
Were you trapped in the closet?
A hard place for sure.
Ha ha ha! All right, let's just do the next headline.
All right, this one. I've got
number 2.
I've got mixed feelings on this one. Oh boy, because I love this series. Fallout TV series sets official release date. This comes to us from Nerdist News. Yet another fan favorite video game series is making the transition to television. Fallout is heading to Prime Video, with Westworld's Jonathan Nolan and Lisa Joy executive producing the show. Their pitch for the Fallout TV series, based on the successful post-apocalyptic franchise, received a straight-to-series order from the streaming service, and now its cast is coming together. Ella Purnell, who recently starred in Yellow Jackets, will lead the series and act alongside, among other actors, Walton Goggins.
I love that guy. He's the one who's like, I'm Mayhem in those commercials, those insurance commercials.
Oh,
Mayhem happens, yeah.
And Kyle MacLachlan.
McLaughlin?
Yeah, McLaughlin.
That's that.
Most recently, Prime Video released a first look at the Fallout series, as well as a release window for when we can expect the show to air. Prime Video treated us to release day announcement alongside the launch of its Fallout social media accounts. Fallout will release on April 12th, 2024.
And I know you have mixed feelings, but I'm very excited. All the set photos I've seen look really, really good. Now, it's possible the writing is terrible and the show sucks, but it looks like Fallout from everything I've seen.
It's just with Fallout 3 and New Vegas, we already saw kind of a come down from that humor, that kind of atmosphere that you experienced in the first 2 games. To me, like, Fallout 4 was great, but it just, storyline wise, it just wasn't as immersive. And it worries me because that's the progression we're seeing, right? So now they're going to do, so it's like, are they going to come back? Are they going to, do more like how they were doing? Or are they going to continue in this direction?
I'm sure it'll have dark humor, but I guarantee it's not going to be like a tongue-in-cheek show. It's going to be a drama for sure. Like they're going to make a Walking Dead essentially.
Well, and that's what bothers me is that Fallout is so tongue-in-cheek. There's so many, like, yeah, along with it being effed up and like, yeah, it's a crazy thing. You post-apocalyptic era. It's really heavy. It's funny. But it's also fucked up. Like, there's
what's great about the game is when you travel around the wasteland and you see all the skeletons in like weird positions. Like I know I know you're not a fan of 4, but they did Titanic with the 2 skeletons, one on the door and one like sinking or half hanging on. They did a lot of fun stuff with that.
In New Vegas, if you turn on the wacky wasteland perk or whatever in the beginning, you see a bunch of funny things, and one of the things they did is you find a refrigerator in the middle of the desert, and if you open it up, there's Indiana Jones and the girl from Crystal Skull.
Yeah, that makes sense, man. You should not get into a fridge if a nuclear bomb... Actually, if a nuclear bomb is going off, fuck it. Get in your fridge. Doesn't matter. You're going to die.
Before we jump back in, I'll go ahead and make my controversial statement. I didn't think Crystal Skull was that bad.
I liked Crystal Skull.
So did I.
Okay, now here's the thing. The monkeys were retarded for sure. There was a couple... I apologize for using that word if it triggers anyone. The monkeys were really stupid, and there was a bunch of things in there that wasn't great. But overall, it was a fun indie adventure. And who doesn't like Mesoamerican? And here's another thing. If the Indian gods can be real in the Temple of Doom, and then The Last Crusade and Raiders of the Lost Ark say Christianity is real, why not aliens? Why can't aliens be real?
And then you got Shia LaBeouf, who I'm a big fan of, and then you've got, they brought back the original girl from the first Indiana for that movie.
Yes, they did. She's also back in the fifth one. Have you seen the fifth one?
Not yet.
All right, a lot of people haven't, so I don't want to spoil too much. But, you know, they do address everything that happens in the fourth one while also being like, don't worry about that, move on. So all that stuff you didn't like in the fourth one, guys, the fifth one is a fun ride, and you should definitely watch it.
I definitely have been putting it off too long. I really want to watch it, but let me jump back in here. We got a little bit more.
Oh, yeah, Fallout.
Yep. Prime Video's Fallout series will take place in LA. A recent release date window announcement signaled that the Fallout show would take place in Los Angeles/Hollywood, a location the series has never before gone in the games. Let me also bring it to this. Every game takes place in a certain spot in America. 3 was in DC. 4, New Vegas, obviously, was in Las Vegas. So that is cool that they're keeping up with that. And
then 4 was basically the Boston area.
Yes.
What about 1 and 2? Do you know?
I don't know.
All right, fair enough. Continue.
And now a further release from Prime Video confirms this, noting, set in the future post-apocalyptic Los Angeles and world of Fallout. The series is an original story based on Fallout that will be part of the canon of the game.
Yeah, that's what I was waiting for you to read. Nothing that happens in this show will contradict anything that's ever happened in the game. Now the question is, where does the show take place timeline-wise?
That's a good question. So, okay, that gives me a little hope. We'll be curious to see how this version of the apocalypse takes shape in the city of dreams and angels. Our first clue that the Prime Video's Fallout series would take place in the canon world of the games was that it had been assigned an official vault number. The Fallout series will circle Vault 33. Since the Fallout games haven't visited Vault 33, this allows the show to fit into canon events already set for the world, but still create its own story.
Yeah, so now I got to buy some Vault 33 merch. I'm happy I never actually spent any money on 76 stuff. I'm not a fan of online MMOs, despite whether that game is good or not, even though most people hate it.
I didn't play it. I heard that at first it was like all of those kind of...
It's gotten better.
Yeah. They all start out buggy, these MMOs. And,
well, the problem with that game is they had no NPCs. Like, it was an empty world. It was really odd.
Weird.
Yeah, I mean, they had bad guys, and then they had robots that you could interact with, like a few of the, the canon robots. But ultimately, that was it, and other players. And,
all right.
Yeah, it was a weird thing. Overall, I love the game. So for those who don't know, it's a big mystery who starts the war, but I believe it's with China, and we nuke each other to hell. And the whole world is an apocalypse, and it's about 200 years in the future that the game takes place, and there's different factions of survivors, and then you have people who are being mutated, who are still sentient, and they are called ghouls, I believe.
Yep, ghouls.
And then you have the ghouls who are just more zombie-like, like they've become
the feral
ghouls. It's a really fun game and lore.
And there will be super mutants.
Yeah, the super mutants are great. So I believe I don't know if it's the first game or the second game, but there's this guy who decides that the way that we could all survive the apocalypse is if he mutates us and turns us all into super mutants. And that was the origin of the super mutant villains, who kind of look like basically orcs. Let's be honest. They're big, they're green.
Yeah, but they became so funny in like the later games and stuff, and they became very intelligent also in the later games.
Yeah, well, I know in number 4 there is basically a professor
Yes.
super mutant. You know,
And they have like a whole colony, and you can choose to either demonize them or help them out.
well, that's not number 4, but yeah. All right. Anyways,
Okay,
great
yeah,
show.
that's right. That was New Vegas. Sorry.
Yeah, no worries. Great show. I love Fallout. Ryan loves Fallout. He's a little skeptical on the fence. I'm a little bit more hopeful. We'll see what happens. Amazon did put the money in for Lord of the Rings. Despite how you feel about that show, we could at least say Fallout probably looks really pretty.
Fingers crossed. I want it to be good.
All right. Let's move on to headline number 3.
Phyllis Cotes, the first actress to portray Lois Lane on TV, dies at 96. This comes to us from KTLA.com. Phyllis Cotes, the actress who first portrayed Lois Lane opposite George Reeves' Superman in the original Adventures of Superman television series.
This is like the 30s and 40s. This is the black and white one.
Right. She died Wednesday at the age of 96. Her daughter confirmed to the Hollywood Reporter and People. Cotes starred in the first season of the show, but was replaced by Noel Neal for the remainder of the series. Cotes, born Gypsy Ann Everett Stell, that's one hell of a name.
Yeah, Gypsy Ann Everett Stell.
Had been active in show business for years before landing her role in Adventures of Superman. In 1951, a year before the show's debut, she had even played Lois Lane in the Lippert Pictures film Superman and the Mole Men.
I think I'd like that one.
I honestly, I want to watch it. A film which was later broken into 2 parts to be aired during the TV show's first season.
All right, so clearly that was the same writers, producers, and cast then. You know, it seems like they made a made-for-TV movie and then turned it into a syndicated show.
Makes sense. Cotes' later credits included appearances in This Is Alice, Perry Mason, The Patty Duke Show, and Gunsmoke, among other film and TV roles. In 1994, she also played Ellen Lane, the mother of Lois Lane, in an episode of Lois and Clark, The New Adventures of Superman. I remember that show.
That's one of Dean Cain.
Cotes passed peacefully Wednesday at her home in the motion picture and television country house and hospital in Woodland Hills. Her daughter, Laura Press, has told us. Rest in peace. That was definitely that's the classic Superman. So she was in the first.
The first Superman, yeah. So what's kind of cool about that is all I can say is if you watch the new Flash movie, which, say what you want about Ezra Miller, the movie itself was pretty good. And towards the end, spoiler, well, no one saw it, so you can't get mad at me. Towards the end, the universes are kind of collapsing into each other, and they're showing basically different DC movies and universes that have occurred. And one of them was the old one with the George Reeves and everybody back then.
That's cool. They give a little flashback.
Yeah, it was like we got to see the black and white universe. It was pretty cool. Also, they did Death to Superman Lives What Happened. They did Nicolas Cage.
Nice.
It was pretty good, man. Yeah, so if you guys haven't seen the Flash movie and you're not just plain sick of superhero movies, because, spoiler, if you're sick of superhero movies, you're not going to like it because this is just another superhero movie. But it's good. It's good.
It's Superman. It's like the superhero movies.
No, I'm talking about the Flash, dude.
Oh, the Flash? Oh, yeah. See, I missed
Flash
that one.
Movie.
Sorry,
Flash
my bad.
is great.
No, I haven't seen that one yet, but I do want to watch it. I don't give a crap about the controversy. I want to see it.
Well, it's some crazy controversy, but fair enough. All right, guys, let's view our...
So what, you throw a chair at an old lady now and then? Who doesn't?
Well, he was grooming children, and he was in a house with a baby who had a bullet in his mouth.
Moving on.
Moving on. All right. So let's do headline number 4.
Alaska Airlines pilot is accused of trying to shut off a plane's engines mid-flight. This comes to us from the Hollywood Reporter.
All right, so he's not accused of it. No, he did it.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Well, an off-duty pilot. What a jerk! An off-duty pilot who was riding in the cockpit of an Alaska Airlines flight en route from Washington State to San Francisco on Sunday is facing dozens of attempted murder charges after he tried to shut down the plane's engines mid-flight, authorities say. The suspect...
that old chestnut.
This suspect identified as Alaska Airlines pilot Joseph D. Emerson, 44, attempted to cut off fuel to the engines, but the quick action of the aircraft's captain and first officer kept the engines from failing completely, the airline said, adding Emerson was subdued by the flight crew. My God.
Yeah, it's like, okay, new fear unlocked. If you weren't already afraid of flying, now we got rogue pilots.
Yeah, give your pilots some candy before the start. Like, hey, man, here's a chocolate. You know, let's have a good flight, okay? I got another one for when we land. So
exactly.
So
give them incentive.
Let's get us.
You want the
land,
other half?
And
I'll wait.
I'll give you the other Twix, bro. All right. The fire suppression system consisted of a T handle for each engine. When pulled, a valve in the wing closes to shut off fuel to the engine. After they are pulled, some residual fuel remains in the line, Alaska Airlines representative said. The flight was forced to divert to Portland, Oregon, where the suspect was taken into custody by Port of Portland police, the agency said in a statement.
So they didn't get far because they were going from Washington.
Yeah, that's
so
not
he
far
did
at
that
all.
like immediately.
Maybe he just wanted to go to Portland.
Yeah.
Emerson is being held without bail at the Multnomah County Jail and has been charged in Oregon with, holy crap, 83 felony counts of attempted murder.
See, that's going to be really hard after all of this when that's on his dating profile. It's a hard sell.
Like, even if you get rid of...
I have 83 charges of attempted murder. No. It was all at once. It was all
alleged. Alleged. Oh, my God. So 83 counts of reckless endangerment and 1 count of endangering an aircraft.
Yeah, even the aircraft was scared.
Right, the poor bastard. He is expected in court Tuesday afternoon. Online records do not list an attorney for Emerson. Who the fuck's going to take that?
Ooh, yeah.
I
don't know if I can win that one,
that's
guy.
That's career suicide. Authorities do not believe the incident was an act of terrorism or ideologically motivated violence. A law enforcement source familiar with the investigation told CNN's Josh Campbell, investigators believe it may have been the result of a mental health episode. You think? And authorities are preparing for court officials to order an assessment of the defendant's psychological state as part of court proceedings, the source said. The source noted the suspect may face additional federal charges.
I wish we had a name for this person and not just the source.
Yeah, that's sketchy. No injuries were reported on the flight, the FBI said. All passengers were able to fly to San Francisco with a new crew and aircraft, the airline said, noting it is reaching out to each of them individually to discuss their experience and check in on their well-being. That's nice of them.
I would take a train.
Yeah, it's like
I would not take another flight. I mean, I'm not saying ever, but maybe not that weekend.
Just that's an awkward phone call. Like, hey, this is Alaska Airlines.
How do you feel about the attempted murder?
I know that one of our pilots tried to take the plane down.
It was just going to kill you a little bit.
We were mulling it around. We were seeing how, I wanted to see what you guys had to say about it.
How are you feeling?
By the way, we are going to credit you $100.
Yeah, exactly, right? We give you 500 miles on your card.
And a $25 Starbucks card that can only be used in our airport.
Exactly.
My God, dude. Dude.
I do, before I forget, that was a typo in my show notes. This was not brought to us from the Hollywood Reporter. This news story was brought to us from CNN.com.
Okay, yeah, CNN. I was going to say they were mentioned.
Yes, absolutely.
But yeah, no, it's like, man, add that to the list of why flying sucks so bad right now. If you're not dealing with crazy passengers, now you've got crazy pilots.
I mean, I think at the end of the world, I can't talk. I feel like at the end of the day, excuse me, there are crazy people everywhere.
Apparently, and those crazy people
are all on Los Angeles buses.
And they could be your captain. My God, have mercy on us all. All right. Well, I mean, when it comes to that story, I know you're more scared of flying than me.
Oh, I hate flying. I have to fly for the first time with my son, who is about 7 months old now. In December, we're going to my sister's house in Oregon, of all places, and we're going to, have the holidays there. And I'm afraid of flying because I don't want to die. So now that I have a kid, I feel like I'm going to be worse because I really don't want him to die.
My first flight with my kid, back before Salem was born, my first son, I remember thinking that. So here I go on this magical cylinder in the sky with my child.
Yeah, there's just a chair bolted to a metal tube and flung into the air by the freaking, I don't know, the gods. Hopefully we're all good.
Here we go.
I understand the science of lift, and it does not comfort me.
It is scary, and people are just so nuts now. Like, you can't even go to a drive-through without people losing their minds anymore. You can't get on the plane without people losing their minds. Now you can't even get on the plane without worried about your damn pilot losing their minds. We all let's go back to that meditation. Let's all meditate and talk to the aliens and say, help out. Chill. We need some alien reefer.
Let's get these people to alien reefer.
And some alien,
let's get these people to chill out, for real.
Like, oh my gosh, everybody. Let's all relax. We're out it. Let's just,
I mean, if not, we could just alter our lives, become agoraphobic, and just never leave the house. With today getting everything being able to be delivered, I mean, we could just be those really fat people who live in their chair and like have hooked up to a computer. Ooh, it'd be like Ready Player One. We could jump into the Oasis or Wall-E. We could jump into whatever the hell they called that. Oh man, let's just not even move.
Well, I mean, that's the future, right? We're all just going to be sitting in the
I hope everyone knows
metaverse.
I'm being sarcastic.
We're all going to just sit in the metaverse and get fat, and we'll just make our profile pictures look really hot, and it'll be great. It'll be great.
I mean, if we're all actually having sex in 3D animated world where we're all in like VR, then I guess we can just lie about how we look. Who cares? We're both wearing goggles anyways.
Yep. Just give me a second while I mount my flashlight here up to the wall here. Okay, let's get going.
Behold, I am huge jacked man.
That is a great porn name.
I'm just saying.
I like it.
All right, guys, that's it for today's episode I should say this week's episode of Earthling Entertainment.
It was a fun one.
It was a fun one. Next week is on Halloween, and it's next Tuesday, and it's our final episode, October 31st, our final Halloween episode. We're going to keep doing this for a long time. But our final Halloween episode, and we're going to have a great quiz on Trick or Treat.
Yep, so study up on Trick or Treat with me because I know Joe's going to try to make it hard.
I am. All right, guys. So just to end the show, like I always say, check out our other podcast called Tattered Tales. It is an anthology show like The Twilight Zone or Tales from the Crypt or Black Mirror. It has some light stories, some dark stories, some scary stories, some sci-fi stories, some fantasy stories. We think you'll like it. That is anywhere you could find your podcasts. Also, if you happen to be in Dearborn, Michigan, and you like comics, go to Green Brain Comics on Michigan Avenue.
Also, Dearborn Music is sweet, too.
Dearborn Music is...
They moved locations.
It used to be sweet. All right, so there we go, and have a good one. Do you have anything else you want to say, bud?
I just want to say, go ahead, like I always say, please hit us up. We love hearing from you guys.
So hopefully by next week we can hear from some of you and let us know what you want us to talk about because it's gonna be Halloween.
I mean, it's a totally good idea to hit us up on the Facebook because then you can leave us a message, and once you leave us a message, we can respond to the message, and once the